428 connection requests, 165 replies, and 26 meetings booked so far. That's one campaign we set up for a client, and the whole thing came off one single signal. So let me tell you the story about that signal. 3 months before we set this campaign up, a guy in the USA walked out of a 26-year executive career and started his own company for the first time in his life. He had a good CV, but now he's going out on his own. Every piece of that information is sitting on his LinkedIn profile in public. Most tools would file him under new founder and fire off a template. We read the profile like a story, and that read is where the 26 meetings came from. In this video, I'm going to show you how to read and find buying signals from all the companies in your market so you know which companies to reach out to and why, and what's the story that's going to get them into the meeting with you. No matter what you sell, here's the situation in your market right now. About 3 to 7% of companies are in a buying window. The other 90-odd% might love to hear from you in a year, maybe this quarter. There's nothing, they're not interested. That's the real reason most outreach goes quiet, because you don't differentiate the two. Signals is just information that's available on the internet. Some on LinkedIn, some on websites, some on other socials. It's just publicly available information that allow us to start telling a story of where a specific company is at. Maybe a new CEO just got promoted. Maybe they just got funded. Maybe there's a hiring spree. So when we reach out to someone, we know sort of what part of the mindset that they might be in. So here's what we're going to cover. First, the maths that makes signals the only way you should be prospecting realistically. Then we're going to look at a mistake that gets most people, including myself, get burned, because not all signals are good news. And then the full story of booking those 26 meetings over that one campaign, and a little bit more on the signal. Our agency has built B2B signal tracking systems for firms that rely on long-term relationship building to get sales over the line. A typical company might track anywhere between 2,000 to 5,000 companies every single day, every single week. We want to know what movements they're making. And by the way, some of the tools that we use to do this are available in the link below this video, so go check those out. Now let's start with the maths of it all, because if you're already doing some outbound, you need to see this. LinkedIn only gives you about 200 new connection requests every week as a budget. And if you think that only about 3 to 7% of companies can buy this quarter, if you message everyone in the same way, most of your 200 are spent on companies that can't say yes, no matter how good the message is. The only lever you can actually control is those who the 200 goes to. Actually, just as a little test, do this later. Open your sent folder and look at your last 20 messages. How many of those went to a company where something had just changed, or did they have a signal active? If the answer is none, that's probably why none of them responded. It was nothing to do with your actual message. Now, the mistake I mentioned earlier, the one where signals quietly can actually do damage. People hear signals and they treat any activity as a green light. Something's happening in the company, they're in the news, they're hiring, the CEO's posting about something specific, so a message goes out. Nobody stopped to ask what that activity actually means, because this is the thing that tells the story. Picture two people you're about to message, same industry, same role. The first one, his company's just declared bankruptcy and he's been personally named in a lawsuit. Both of those pieces of information are public, both of them are online, both are signals, and both of them are telling you to stay away, depending on what you're selling, unless you're an insolvency lawyer. He's having a bad enough year without you coming and pitching him. And the worst thing is, if you haven't tracked the signals at all, you're probably pitching people in scenarios like this. And these are the ones who are going to block you and post about you on their timeline saying that you're being spammy. Now, the second person, she just posted 10 new job roles for her marketing team and announced a funding round. Same kind of public information, they are signals, but it tells a completely different story. And signals stack as well. One is interesting and probably enough in most cases, but 2 or 3 pointing in the same way, the odds of a reply go through the roof. They're multiples higher. Nothing gets you 100%, but more signals is just better odds, and you just want to play the odds in your favor. Now, I'll hold my hands up here. We get burned by this too, and I have got burned myself recently. The other week, one of our campaigns messaged a fella at a bank. The profile looked right, so 2 messages went out about the exact same problem we solved, and he replied, "Sorry, you're asking the wrong guy. I'm in an internship at the end of my military career, just getting my first look inside the bank." And all of that was sitting on his profile. We didn't we didn't read it. We didn't read it properly. It just skipped the story. A signal isn't just a green light automatically. It's the information that you can tell the story from. It can tell you to move right now, and it can tell you to walk away. But you have to interpret it right. That's the key. Which brings us back to the guy I mentioned who quit his job 3 months ago. Because the campaign targeting that signal is the whole method in one story. So most signal-driven outreach stops at the event. So new founder, send the message, that's good enough. The signal fires and they shoot. And that's usually how most systems are set up. And the message reads like what it is, a template triggered by a data point. Here's what his profile actually said if you read it like a story. 20 years senior in someone else's company, a C-suite, VP level, never founded anything before, and now he's gone all in on his own idea. What does that tell you? Probably tells you that he's serious, he's been considerate, and he probably has the money that he wants to really make a push behind this. Nobody walks out from a 20-year career on a whim. He's cautious, it's taken a lot of time. He's waited this long, and he's almost certainly thinking about one thing right now, funding. He wants to make sure that this works. So he needs to get every piece of resource, capital, energy behind this because he's finally gone all in. The client we ran this company for was a funding advisory. Now you can probably see where this is going, and you can probably write the scripts in your own head at this point. The campaign wasn't targeting new founders, it was first-time founders who were about 90 days in with 15 years plus experience of senior history, and then a second read on what they were building. One that we got in contact was opening a health facility that takes real capital. It was a perfect fit for our client. Consultancies and agencies, we did reach out to them because it was worth the conversation, but they weren't the perfect fit because you could bootstrap those and a funding advisory won't be needed in most cases. The results, 428 connected, 165 replies, and 26 booked meetings from a cold outreach campaign, technically, that's what it was, all from one single signal where we just read the story right. And here's the actual first message we sent to them. And when you tell the story like this, scripting is easy. The scripts write themselves. When you're setting up your next LinkedIn campaign, if you're trying to think of the perfect script, you've probably already gone wrong. Look for signals. Look for people who are in the market. And don't just stop at the event. Read the story behind the signal. Because once you know the story, you know their frame of mind, and the copy just writes itself. You're writing to someone you already understand, and they feel understood. Now, one last thing, and it's a practical bit. None of this needs a data subscription or research. The signals are just there. All the signals that we pull for our clients are sitting in public. We just do it at scale over 40,000 companies at a time. And systems are required for that. But if you're just getting started, go to the link below this video. There's a couple of the tools and frameworks we follow. That'll be enough to get you going. So when you're trying to get the most out of your 200 LinkedIn requests, budget every single week, follow the signals because they tell you when to reach out to who and the reason it makes sense to reach out now. But here's what happens before a single one of them replies. They click your profile, they look what you've posted, what you've built, whether you look like the real deal, all before they even respond. The signal gets your message seen because it's timed well, but what they find when they check you out decides whether they answer it or not and decides what they'll say also. That's the next video, the content layer that does the convincing for you. Now, before you get into it, you don't need to become an influencer. We're going to be really targeted here. A couple of pieces of content can do all the work for you. Go watch it.